Islam Dwayne Bey. It is June the 4th, 2019. I'm just getting off work. It's about 3:05 p.m. Today was a good day. I'm at Burger King still. That's why you might hear the music. Hold on. I'm getting ice. Islam. Today I had a memory of thoughts. A customer came in and he said, this is early this morning, and he said he was speaking about the memorial of Veterans Day, about the Memorial Veterans Day. He was telling me about he saw the name Bey of Memorial for Veterans Day. Oops, hold on, let me come over here. Memorial for Veterans Day. He was saying that he saw a memorial with the and some of the memorials or those that had died during the Vietnam War or wars had last name. He said one. He said he saw Bey, and I said, oh, okay, that's interesting. And then and I thought about 9/11, because 9/11. Many perished during 9/11, and that was here. And actually, I said that makes me think of 9/11. What happened in 9/11 with the bombings of the two towers, the two twin towers. I think they said over 2,000 was killed in 9/11. During 9/11, many perished, and I don't know how many last names were ended in Bey or ill. But and I looked at him. I said, that really makes me sad, because many people, even after 9/11, they dealt with problems physically, physical health problems after 9/11. So even after they supposedly called those that did it, and it's done and over, many people dealt with physical health problems. And I thought about it, it was odd, because he just brought up Vietnam, the memorial. And I was like, and I remember for him to have come in, I think he came in before, and this is when I used to have Bey on my name, Bey, on my name tab. Right now I just have Rhonda. So I used to have Rhonda Bey on my name tab. And sometimes I would have your name up here, Dwayne Bey and Rhonda Arrington-Bey. I used to, but they said just use one name. I think he definitely looked like the same customer that we had the conversation. He was asking me about my name being Bey. And then I thought about, and then I also that's on this landmass. I was talking about the bombings, and I brought up the Oklahoma bombing. I said that also happened on this landmass, the planes, what happened in Oklahoma, Tulsa, Oklahoma, about Black Street, and he was like, he was nodding his head or just smiling. He was smiling as also in reference to the conversation about 9/11 and those that suffered after 9/11. Then I thought about Philadelphia, and I said I'm not quite sure what happened in Philadelphia, but it just made me think about those that was on this landmass that also suffered different terrorist attacks, because or bombings or war. So it made me think of that. And because the word terrorism is a very strong word, terrorism, acts of terrorism. And so when I looked up the word terrorism in Black's Law Dictionary, it went extensive in what terrorism is and acts of terrorism. So that's another thing. This was the conversation this morning with a customer. I guess because Memorial Day just passed, and that's what made him bring it up. It made me also think about this morning, before I left out of American Extended Stay, I had posted on my Twitter site to you about how there's still someone around American Extended Stay, outside American Extended Stay, saying military outside the room, and brother, and I love you, or I might feel sharp pains. Like, for instance, I told you when I first started working here in 2016, there were a lady that used to have the word Navy on the back of her license plate, Navy 1, and She used to come and sit, and with some of the regulars that still come here today and sit. And she was a pale skin. And one day she just she was at the counter. I thought this was odd. And she said, as she said, "Hey, y'all, I felt a sharp, dull pain right here." And I thought that was interesting. And my temporal. Today, Dwayne Bathfield, I didn't really feel that that many sharp, dull pains that came out of nowhere, except for right here about 153. I actually looked at it. I actually looked at the time because I was customers. They say, "How are you doing today?" Like I say, "Hi," not Islam. I say, "How you doing?" Thinking you're choosing Burger King. "May I take your order, please?" And they're like, "I'm good," or I'm doing wonderful. "And you?" And I say, "I am well." And when I say I am well, I'm saying I'm well. You know, I'm working physically. I'm well mentally. So I don't say all that, but I just say I'm well. And as I said I'm well, I actually felt a sharp, dull pain in my abdomen and my uterus. And I've been feeling sharp pains, and then it sounded like I possibly heard someone say, "Shut up," or "You need to shut up." I used to hear that in 2016 too. I started working at Burger King in the year 2016 in June. I'm not sure about that part. And I thought this is just simultaneously I'm giving you testimony as a Hebrew Muslim, as a Moorish American. So today what I'm going to do is go get my ID from the DMV, my Maryland State ID. And for whatever reason, I didn't receive the food stamps that I applied for Dwayne Bathfield Bey. I went up there twice. This is the second time I went up there and showed them proof that I was recertified. Actually, the first time I recertified, and I went up there again on the 29th because I got another letter. And I still didn't get my food stamps today in Annapolis, Maryland. So I don't know what's going on. Even the lady stamped it, and she was like, "You should get it, or everything should be fine now." And I still didn't get my stamp, so I'm going to have to check on that as well. And so it's still someone is around, outside and around the room saying military sometimes raw, like they trying to be manly. I told you about some of the odd behavior I noticed from those that implied to be connected to the United States Navy and the Army. Odd behavior. But what I also was thinking about today was, because as Moorish Americans, we are encouraged to study the Constitution and demonstrate and implement divine laws of freedom, which include Abraham Lincoln's proclamations, 13th Amendment with 20 sections, all four Abraham Lincoln's proclamations, the United States of America Constitution, and naturalization is part of that. That's in Article 1, Section 8, Clause 4. And Monty Gray-Bey and I, Rhonda Arrington-Bey, as Moorish Americans, we have been naturalized. And taken to affirm to uphold these divine laws of freedom that many bled for to uphold. Liberty and freedom is important to us as Moorish Americans. So that's one of the thoughts I had. Also, I send love and I also send a mental prayer. I send love and love and protection to those foreign soldiers who are trying to stand on liberty and freedom in the foreign lands. They're standing on liberty and freedom. If you ask them what their nationality, they tell you, because they know the importance of nationality. And not only that, these are foreign countries and foreign soldiers that are standing and fighting to uphold divine laws of liberty and freedom. Liberty and freedom. So I send a divine mental prayer of protection to them too, and I hope they continue to stand and protect their children and their homelands. Islam. It's June the 3rd, 2019. I'm going to go get my ID. Islam. No, actually, today is June the 4th. June the 4th, 2019. 2019, June the 4th. I'm going to go get my ID. Islam. I'll email you this later.